Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are right here at the Raising Cane's in Byron, Mississippi. This is the South 78 football show once again. I'm Trellis Williams right here with me. Chris Thigpen, head coach of the Terry Bulldogs, as always. And this week, another win, Coach. 5-0 on the season. This past week, it was a 43-0 victory over Provine. And, Coach, you guys are looking good right now, sitting at 5-0. Best start since 2006. Best start as a 6A program for Terry. How are you feeling about your team?
Feeling really good about the team. They kind of bought into what we were selling. And as I said, maybe in a previous show, we made some changes on our staff, and we brought in some more experienced coaches and some coaches we thought would fit well with my vision. And so those guys have really been coaching well. I'm super proud of the coaching staff thus far. We had a really good off season. We had a really good spring, but I thought our summer has been really, really good, especially when it comes to our line play up front, offensive line, defensive line. So, then over the summer we go literally 4 days a week of getting in quality work. We did some 7-on-7 stuff, and so we went to team camp at Holmes Community College. I thought that kind of gave us an edge, but the guys have really been gelling. They've really been coachable so far, and it's showing on the field. Last week was homecoming, and last year we played a Provine team that we barely beat 6-0, and they had some guys graduate. And so we were able to kind of pull away from them this past week. We couldn't be more pleased with where we are right now. This is where we want to be. We want to go 1-0 every week, and we've done that thus far. And so as a coach, you want to try to continue to improve, but also, play as clean as you can. You also want to try to work on eliminating mistakes and playing more efficiently and executing at a high level in all three phases of the game. And so, this week will be no different. We have Clinton High School coming in to Terry for the first time, I believe, in program history coming to us. And so, we have a very tall task. A lot of schools this week are taking a bye week right before region play, trying to rest some guys. I decided last year we weren't going to do that because we didn't want to have two byes because Jim Hill went independent and decided not to play region games. So our bye week could come week 9. So, I said, hey, we've been playing all these other tough 7A schools. Why not schedule Clinton? And we went over and played them last year, and we lost a close game. We felt like we should have won, and so they have a new head coach now, and Coach Carr that came, I believe, from Louisiana Monroe. So he has college experience. They were, had a talented team last year. I think they were young. So they've knocked off some, notable teams in the state. So, we have our work cut out for us. We'll have to play well Friday night. And so that's kind of what we've been working on this week.
Yeah, and so kind of talking about that game against Provine, it was a dominant performance. Your running back, Rondé Baker, finishing with 4 touchdowns on the game. But overall, just kind of dominated the line of scrimmage, especially defensively.
Right.
Defensively, you got a lot of stuff done as well. Just kind of talk about that game. Kind of mentioned, you mentioned last year, winning that game only 6-0 last year, and to make that much of an improvement. Obviously, Provine's taking a little step back, but you guys look good, a lot better offensively, because if you had seen that game from last year, it really had opportunities, just missing offensive opportunities, and that's why you didn't win by more. Just kind of talk about the offensive execution.
Well, I got to give a shout out to my new offense coordinator, Coach Brandon Boone, who's been at a different levels of the high school game. He's always in attack mode as offensive coordinator, but I think he does a really good job of looking at all the ways he could put our players in a position to have success and be explosive at the same time. And so that's kind of what I was looking for in an offensive coordinator. I want a guy that had experience, a guy that could coach football, but a guy that also was creative enough to find ways to put our players in a position to be successful. Our quarterback has been playing really well, and he could play even better, believe it or not. He could play even better, and he knows that, and Coach Boone knows that, and so we've been working towards that. But our quarterback play has been more efficient this year than it was up to this point last year. And so, we're excited about Brady and his development, but also I believe our offensive line play is much more improved this year than it was last year. We're big up front, and we're young in some spots, but those guys seem to play well together. And so, offensively, of course, everyone knows about run day. And the emphasis for run day this all season was, hey, you got the height, you got the weight, you got all the measurables. You had really good runs last year, but I kind of would tell him every other day, hey, listen, we're working to finish runs. We're working to not only gain a 10-yard or a 25-yard run. We want you in the end zone, and I believe up to this point he may be at 10 touchdowns right now in week going into week 6, and so that's a testament to his hard work and his dedication, and we think he can even be better. We think he could be a very special player, and so trying to get guys developed and get them to reach their potential. That's our goal as a coaching staff. And that's not just for the offensive side, but also the defensive side. We have some guys that stepped up on that side of the football, some guys that 2 years ago came to us and they really didn't know how to play football, but they're playing very well now. They're stronger, they're bigger, they're tougher, and so that's a testament to our coaches.
Yeah, and so you're going into your last non-region game of the season this week, taking on Clinton. And then region play is going to come tough.
Right.
West Jones, you start off hosting them. They're undefeated, 19-game winning streak right now. Just kind of talk about how much you think this game will prepare you for region play.
Well, you see a lot of similarities. When you play, 7A schools, 5A, 6A schools, you really have to play well to win. West is, they are who they are. They have an identity on defense that they believe in and that they believed in the past 20 years, and they still play that same way. And on offense, they're going to look to run the football. They're not going to pass it too much, and as they showed everybody last year, they didn't have to pass it. They were just that good up front to run the football to win. And so, the next 2 weeks, starting Friday and the week we play West Jones, we'll have to really show that up front, our offensive and defensive line and our box players have improved to a point to where they can play at a high level for a full game and go against some of those opponents and execute well. So, I felt like last year we had the skilled guys and we had matchups, but in games where we struggled over the past, I'll say 3 years, it's always been our play up front. And so if you improve the play up front and you improve the quarterback play, you give yourself a chance to go into a West Jones week 7 potentially undefeated. And so, as I said before, that extra emphasis that we put on those guys, I think is really paying off now.
So kind of want to focus a little bit more on this Clinton game on Friday night. It'll be Friday night at Bulldog Field, hosting the Arrows. Last year came up with a tough loss, 28-21. It was a very close battle with Clinton at their stadium. This year you take them on at home. They're 2-3 on the season, but they've had one of the toughest schedules in the state. But they beat Brandon, who may still be one of, if not the best team in the state, in Brandon, 65-62. So you know that this team can put points on the board. But as of the last 2 weeks, they've kind of struggled. Lost 2 in a row. Last week they lost to South Panola 32-7. Obviously, South Panola is a really tough team to play. But they've had a little struggle the last 2 weeks, so they're going to be motivated to bounce back in this game. Just talk about, preview this game for us.
Well, as I said, they're a 7A opponent. They have a new head coach. Yes, they've knocked off some notable opponents, as you said, Brandon. I believe they beat Warren Central the first game of
Yep.
the year. So when they're playing well, they could be one of those teams that could knock off any of the teams in the top 10. But, you know, I feel that way about us as well. You know, we have to play well to beat them, and that's anyone. Matchup-wise, you know, they like to run the football some, but they also like to get the football to some receivers they have on the outside. Their quarterback is an exceptional player. He's really good, Mr. Walker. I like his game. He has the ability to extend plays. So what we want to do from a defensive perspective is to knock him off his timing. So whatever his first read is, we don't want him to throw in rhythm and be on time when he drops back to throw the football. And I think that'll give our pass rush a chance to get to him. But I think Coach Benson and the defensive staff have done a really good job of preparing our team to play against Clinton offense. They do some different things special teams-wise that we had to take an extra look on that try to give them the edge in a game, or that could be the difference in a game. And so this is one of those games where in all three phases of the game, you got to come ready to play, not only from a mental and physical standpoint, but from an execution standpoint.
So, folks, Friday night, the Bulldogs will host at Bulldog Field the Arrows of Clinton, and our coverage will begin shortly before that 7 p.m. kickoff live on the TSJW Network YouTube channel. Do you have anything else to say to the fans about this upcoming game?
Yes, well, I just want to make an announcement and give a congratulations to our senior defensive back, Caleb Tillman.
Yes.
He made the Bernard Blackwell All-Star Classic football team for the South Squad. And, you know, this is a game that a lot of players across the state get nominated. A lot of players across the state are very deserving of this game. And, you know, it's just not enough slots. I think we take 45 players in the north, 45 players in the south. And so, you know, Caleb was one of those guys that got nominated. Very prestigious. The game is going to be played December 21st in Gulfport at Milner Stadium. That's where it's always played. And so he'll be joining a host of players from the south that are really, really good. And I'll have a chance to coach on that squad as well as the scout coach. And so this is my first time coaching in that game.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool to have one of your seniors be able to play in it as well. And he's very, as you said, he's very deserving because he's a 4-year letterman, a 4-year starter. So a lot of people say, well, you know, does Coach Thigpen play young guys? If young guys are talented and they can play up to the 6A level, absolutely. And he was one of those guys, you know, 3 years ago that was talented and that when the lights came on, the moment wasn't too bright for him. And so he played well. He's continued to get better. You know, in the off season, every year he's done something a little more than he did the year before. And I want to say this year he's leading the state in interceptions with 5. And so shout out to Caleb Tillman, and if you guys see him, you know, congratulate him. We'll try to put out a graphic and more information about that as we get closer to that game.
Definitely, and definitely congratulations to Caleb Tillman. Has had a great season thus far. Looking to continue that, and we will be having the game live on Friday night. And that will wrap up the South 78 football show for this week, coming up into the ball game between the Terry Bulldogs and the Clinton Arrows. That game will be at Bulldog Field. Live streaming coverage will be on the TSJW Network YouTube channel. Coverage begins at 6:30. Kickoff is at 7. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to the TSJW Network YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button right now. Also hit that like button and share it with anybody who may be interested in Terry Bulldogs football on the TSJW Network. We appreciate Tire Depot right here on Terry Road in Byron, Mississippi for sponsoring this South 78 football show for the 2024 season. I am Trellis Williams. We out.